I came across this article yesterday, and I thought it would be interesting to comment on it. Um, since we're sort of on the subject of film, with my last video being about trepidations over what the new Indiana Jones movie is going to be like, if these terrible rumors about it are true or not. Um, so, staying in the realm of film, that is to say, that the film as art, right? The rarefied air of artistry uh, and film, not the dirty, filthy, disgusting entertainment industry out of which you know money is produced for film to be made, and there needs to be a strong distinction drawn between those two things, between the filth of the business, and the art, the high art to which film can achieve uh, when it's at its best. Um, so this is a this article covers some statements made by the director of the movie Blonde. Blonde was a biopic of sorts that aired on Netflix and that a lot of people really hated. And it seemed that a lot of people hated it. A lot of the people who were hating on it thought that uh, uh, it was abusive to the character that it was to which it was devoted, namely Marilyn Monroe. Um, Now this movie is based on a script by the writer Joyce Carol Oates, um, who's on the older side, and I don't know if she jibes with like third wave feminism or whatever, but clearly a lot of feminists hated this show, um, and the director responded interestingly, not by apologizing, not by saying, "Oh, I'm so terrible. I'm sorry I didn't live up to your expectations. You know, beat me harder." Uh, and the sort of typical falling on your sword response. Instead, he responded, it seems to me, thoughtfully, but still in a manner that put a lot of the critics in their place. Um, and you see the title to the story, the headline. Director Andrew Dominic blames blonde backlash on audiences wanting to reinvent Marilyn Monroe as an empowered woman. Um, so let's see a little bit more about what he has to say here. There he is. Um, so the I should say, first of all, before we look at the article, I tried to watch Blonde, and I didn't find that it was really for me. Um, that doesn't mean that it was that I think it's bad, um, but it was very difficult to sit through. It was kind of a chore to sit through. I know I'm not sounding like I'm endorsing that. That's a hell of an endorsement, no wiki. Yeah. Um, you know, some movies are like that. Some movies you have to be in the right frame of mind to appreciate them, and it seemed like maybe this was the case of something like that. It's a difficult movie. It does feature this character just being abused a lot, being taken advantage of, being exploited, and in some fairly grotesque sorts of ways, being victimized. And it's I think it's got an NC-17 rating, so it's pretty hardcore. Okay, and so I didn't finish watching it myself. I remembered I remember the critics made me want to see it, And I generally wouldn't have seen it otherwise because I'm not huge. I'm not into the Marilyn Monroe uh, cult of personality thing. I sort of, to me, it's a little overhyped. Anyhow, here's the director's response to his critics. Andrew Dominic, the director of the controversial Marilyn Monroe biopic Blonde, is speaking out against the backlash against the Netflix film. During an appearance at the Red Sea International Film Festival in Saudi Arabia, this is interesting that they're having an international film festival in Saudi Arabia. I heard Oliver Stone gave some speech there earlier as well. Just I wouldn't have thought of Saudi Arabia as being the ideal venue for an international film festival, but they do have a lot of money, so I'm sure the accommodations are quite plush, if nothing else. Anyway, during an appearance at the Red Sea International Film Festival in Saudi Arabia, Dominique proclaimed that American audiences hated the movie, which starred Ana de Armas as the iconic film star. The Australian director claimed that this was because the public strictly wanted to see Monroe appear empowered on screen. Now we're living in a time, he said, where it's important to present women as empowered, and they want to reinvent Marilyn Monroe as an empowered woman. That's what they want to see, Dominic said of the beloved movie star, according to The Hollywood Reporter. And if you're not showing them that, it upsets them. Dominic went on to say that those who criticized the film based on Joyce Carol Oates' 2000 novel, it was based on a novel she wrote. I didn't know that. I thought she just wrote the script. I stand corrected. Must have felt they exploited their memories of the actress who died of a drug overdose at age 36 in 1962, which is kind of strange because she's dead. The movie doesn't make any difference in one way or the other. What they really mean is that the film exploited their memory of her, their image of her, which is fair enough. But that's the whole idea of the movie. It's trying to take the iconography of her life and put it in service of something else. It's trying to take things that you're familiar with and turning the meaning inside out. But that's what they don't want to see. All right. Despite the negative feedback, Dominic clarified he was actually really pleased the film had outraged so many people because he considers that the responsibility of the artist to evoke passionate responses from their work. This is also interesting. He chalked that up to coming of age in the 1980s, when to offend your audience was a solemn duty, to wrench them out of a complacency about things. Dominic, who claimed that tens of thousands of people watched the movie on Netflix, concluded by stating that he believes American film is getting more conservative. Now, what does he mean by that? Context is everything. He compared the current state of cinema to bedtime stories, explaining that people want a story with a predictable ending. I don't want to make bedtime stories, he concluded. All right, and then then he goes on to talk about how various women, actresses like what's her name? Radikowski. Emily Radikowski saying that in a TikTok post that it was fetishizing female pain and so forth. And so let's just go back to what he says here. He believes that what the director says. Dominic says that he believes that American film is getting more conservative. Again, by that he doesn't mean that it's getting right wing. I don't think. It's not really something political. It's more like he compared the current state of cinema to bedtime stories, explaining that people want a story with a predictable ending. And I think he also means beyond that, what he's saying here, beyond just the notion of wanting a story with a predictable ending. I think he's claiming that audiences want because they want to see Marilyn Monroe portrayed as as an empowered woman. So it's like all of this, the influence of woke cinema is perhaps ironically, since the people who consider themselves who like woke stuff think of themselves as more sophisticated, and because they're leftists, and so they're liberals, so of course they're smarter and more sophisticated than the stupid, dumb hick red state conservatives that they loathe and despise. But it's interesting that the same crowd of people are demanding that movies that problematize, simple solutions, like, not showing this iconic woman to be a representative of empowered womanhood, but showing something else more truthful about her and more tragic about her. That they this elicits this kind of response from them, where uh, they react with a kind of lynch mob mentality. Um, Again, ironic in the sense that this is a group of people, and I can say this about them because I used to be one of them. It was a long time ago, but I used to be somebody who was on the left, and when I was on the left, I tended to think of myself as just being more, by by benefit of being on the left, of just being more sophisticated than all the conservatives out there. Um, but in fact, in a sense, as he says here, as as Dominic says here, the director of this film Blonde, that that they're getting more. Back in the '80s, you had a solemn duty to as a filmmaker to wrench your audience out of complacency. Whereas today, people just want bedtime stories. They just want to be told, woman good, woman, uh, female icon, heroic, prevails against all odds, strong, powerful woman. Uh, you know, but was that the case with Marilyn Monroe? Apparently, I mean, one would say, given the life that she led and the way that it all ended, uh, her story was a bit more tragic than that. So, I will also say that, let me just go over here and close this door. I will also say that, to me, Tarantino said something interesting in a recent interview. I think it was actually with Bill Maher, of all people. Well, I mean, I guess it would make sense a little bit. It makes sense a little bit since he's kind of has an anti-woke streak in himself. Although he's rather he's rather smug and can be quite insufferable. But this interview, I'll see if I can find it. But maybe you can find it yourself if you look for it, if you're interested enough. Where Tarantino is talking about how today ideology in cinema trumps everything. Ideology before story, ideology before characters, ideology before having a rewarding cinematic experience. What matters most is the message, and of course, by the ideology, he can't mean anything but woke, the whole woke thing. And it seems like this director here, in speaking about his movie Blonde and why it elicited such a hostile response from so many, was he's basically saying the same thing. They wanted the movie to reflect the ideology that's been drilled into them, and that's like it's their place of comfort. They don't want to be taken out of their comfort zone and shown something that contradicts what what they believe, what their college professors all taught them. So I just think that's interesting, and bravo to this director, even though I don't know anything about him. Bravo to him for standing up and saying something like this instead of just abasing himself and doing the typical sort of thing that people in the entertainment industry do when faced with the tyranny of woke. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.